Hello and welcome to another edition of Power of the Pen. I am LaWanna Bradford, and if you've been following me for the last 5 years on this show, you know I love all things books. And not only do I enjoy bringing new thought-provoking books to your attention, but I also love to bring authors and their books. And today, look what I have here. The Leadership Advantage by Joel D. Smith. How to Cultivate Leadership Skills That Drive Success. And ladies and gentlemen, can you believe I actually got him to say yes to this interview? As busy as he is, I don't want to steal his thunder because we're going to get into it. But the great thing about this book, and I know you're thinking, there's a ton of leadership books out there. There are. Just like there are thousands and thousands of leaders around the world. But what makes this so important today is the pivotal message and how Joel has managed to take his lived experiences, his strategic insight, his background as a leader, his military experience as a pilot, his coaching experience, his role in the community, to package all that in a nice little ball that he's getting ready to toss to you. And I say toss to you because when you read this, it gives you some aha moments. You're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, wait a minute. I'm listening to this. I'm hearing his story. How does that now relate to me? Because the one thing that he challenges us with is that as leaders, we're ever evolving. He says that leaders it's not about the title or the position. It's all about mindset. So in just a minute, we're going to have a deep dive conversation with Mr. Joel D. Smith. Hey, Joel, how's it going?
It is wonderful. How are you, LaWanna?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's good to see you. And thank you again for saying yes. And, you know, I was just sitting here before we started. I was looking at the cover of your book, right? Mm-hmm. And we always hear that the cover is so important when it comes, obviously, the content. But there's something about that cover that can be that attraction magnet. And I'm just going to dig right into it. This cover is a photo of you. So here's Joel. And then there's a wolf.
Yes.
And the first thing you talk about is the term wolf pack. Mm-hmm. So help us to, if you don't mind, if we just jump right into this conversation. Because
Absolutely.
We're going to bring up your background a little bit. But I want to understand, what does wolf pack mean and why is that so important? It's like this banner that everything that you talk about fits under.
The wolf pack symbology comes from a number of different things and different points in my life. The first one being my first stateside unit in the United States Army, being a part of the 82nd Airborne. Our call sign was the wolf pack. So being that was my first stateside assignment, because I went overseas first, right as I came into the military, coming back to the States, being that it was my first stateside assignment, the wolf pack resonated with me. So my regimental affiliation was always with the 82nd throughout my career, 32 years, and the wolf pack stuck with me. The moniker stuck with me. It also stemmed back to some of those cartoons that we all grew up with, i.e. the Jungle Book. And if you know anything about Rudyard Kipling, he always said the strength of the pack is the wolf and the strength of the wolf is the pack. So that was the second thing that resonated with me. And per our last conversation, when I looked at wolf pack and the affinity for nature and the things that all the above, you know, folks will say, well, why didn't you have this affinity with tigers or lions or bears? They're more powerful. Absolutely. But there's nothing more relentless than the pack on a hunt. And as I always used to say, contrary to popular belief, the lion and the tiger perform in the circus. The wolf does not. So when you look at a more dogged entity, you have to look at how wolves are determined. When they're going after something, they go after it relentlessly, and they go after it as a team. So the wolf pack, the leadership advantage, the wolf pack initiative, leadership initiative, all of it had a play in developing this book and my affinity for the wolf pack.
I love that. And you mentioned that you were in the military. I believe you said, is it 32 or 33 years?
32 years.
32 years as a Warrant Officer 5, U.S. Army. You were an aviator.
Yes.
And I found it really interesting because the term, are leaders, the question, are leaders made or are they born?
Mm-hmm.
And you said your idea of leadership actually began to be seeded in you as a little bitty, right? As you were on the field, playing ball, in sports, in scouts, that there was something that was calling you to rise up. Now, I want to ask you this. Was that something innate that you just knew that, okay, there's something that I'm supposed to reach for, or did someone point out the leadership qualities in you? And from there, you started to develop your own leadership walk.
It was a combination of the two. When the question, which in academic circles have always asked, are leaders born or are they developed over time? And, you go back to the first studies of leadership. For the longest, they thought you had to be born with certain traits and all that other good stuff. I submit that everyone who is born, everything that is born to lead in some capacity. Now, how you grow as a leader is nurtured through family, the different events you may have mentioned, scouting, band, athletics, all those things, your school teachers, those gatekeepers that you had in your neighborhood that were meant to protect and to guard us against outside influences as best they could. So when I look at it, they're born and they're nurtured all in together. Now, how far they go with it is dependent upon not only just those other factors I mentioned, but the individual themselves and their individual experiences. For me, it wasn't an option. You grow up in a house with an educator, you're going to do these things. The many times based off of experiences, negative experiences that I had when I wanted to quit something and I wasn't allowed to, I was basically told, we don't quit.
Right.
Sue this through, you will keep going. And then, as I mentioned the last time we spoke, my mother telling me, you are your only limit. God hasn't put any limits on you. Therefore, don't you let any man put limits on you. So having that mindset growing up, when I looked at the need to develop as a leader, I looked at those in front of me and I had to quickly realize that there were others watching me. So if I didn't lead in the right direction, if I wasn't impactful in the words that I say, the actions that I displayed, I could lead somebody down the wrong path myself. So I had to be dressed right, dressing, moving forward in everything that I did.
When you shared what your mother said to you, I mean, that was a gift. And sometimes when we're growing up and we hear little things, it's like, okay, you're telling me this, but it's when we look back, right? Because that gave you a sense of, and tell me if I'm wrong, I feel a sense of an identity, owning your place, yes, holding on to that place, right? And you you shared a story with me, and if you don't mind sharing this with the audience, you said when you went to your school.
Hmm.
There was no one that looked like you, and you were even challenged with, should you even be there?
Absolutely. So the school that we're referring to is when I came into the military. Now, I say there was no one that looked like me. It wasn't to mean or to insinuate that there were no other aviators before me that had come through the same program that I was going through. What I was saying is, in my particular class of 83 people, there was me. And there were a couple of young ladies in the class. And when I say a couple, I mean literally two young ladies, and then there was myself. Now, there were other African Americans within the context of the program in and of itself, but they weren't in my class. So I had to basically fend for myself. When there were study halls, I didn't receive invites. When there were events or gatherings, of course, I didn't get invites. There were other classes that did invite me, or someone took interest and saw the things that I was doing. But for a number of weeks in the beginning, I felt like an outcast. I had a bunch of naysayers saying that I could not and would not succeed. They really had no idea that before I showed up at flight school for the military, that my degree was in aerospace, that I had been flying prior to arriving in the military. I was flying airplanes. Now I'm learning to fly helicopters, but they had no idea of my background. But we were so quick to put me in a category of, you won't be able to succeed. This is not for you. You've taken a spot from someone else. Mm-hmm. That was the first few weeks. When I finished basic and went into the instrument phase, I had a completely different experience. My instructor was supportive. He looked at me and said, this guy has got it. He said, I'm sitting over here, we're flying instruments. This is the instrument phase. And I'm flying, and he's sitting over here eating popcorn, and he's sitting there telling me, he said, most students, I don't have that ability, but I can sit over here and eat popcorn because I don't have to worry about you doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And it just, yeah, I got this. So I've got to get through instruments. I've got to get through basic combat skills, nights, and advanced combat skills. So I still have a ways to go, but that incentive, that motivation that he gave me, that he was confident in my abilities, that was all I need. The rest was cakewalk. I'm gone. It's off to the races.
And that's so important. Like you mentioned earlier, that you're looking behind you. You said we're always being watched, right? So looking at those that are coming behind you, and for those that are in leadership, I don't want to say positions, but your role, whether it's in your family, your community, your position that you actually hold in corporate, or if you're the leader of your own company, it's important to look back and see, how can I help someone learn from what I know, right? To get them there that much faster. How can I help to encourage them to know that, I've been there, done there, got the t-shirt. I can sit back and watch popcorn because I know what to look for to let you know you got this, right?
That's right.
That you're safe, you're okay. Now, before we go into this piece here, you talk about it's all about the people. I want to do a quick break, and we're going to come back, and I want to unpackage what that means in this environment when we're talking about belonging.
Okay.
Is your organization losing top talent due to lack of recognition and poor well-being support? Recognition and well-being are the two pillars of employee retention. When employees don't feel valued, their mental and physical health is neglected. They'll look for other opportunities. In the military, we made it a priority to recognize contributions and support mental and physical well-being. It wasn't just about morale, it was about performance. Organizations that fail to recognize their employees and support their well-being are setting themselves up for turnover and disengagement. I've helped organizations build recognition and well-being programs that improve retention, engagement, and productivity. Let's talk about how we can retain your top talent by focusing on recognition and well-being. Schedule a call with me today.
Now, with that, I'm going to read this one brief paragraph, and I want you to take what I'm reading and bridge it to what you offer when you go into the C-suite to help their leaders lead more effectively. You said it's all about the people. If leadership were a movie, relationships would be the star. It's the little things, listening, really hearing what someone is saying, caring genuinely. It's about making everyone feel like they're a part of this big, sometimes messy family. And guess what? That's where the magic begins.
When I wrote that paragraph, I was thinking of two individuals in particular, and that was Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. And I was thinking of Bill Gates Thinks Week and the retreats that Steve Jobs used to hold. The people are what make us. It's impossible to build and to grow solo. It's just like in athletics. There are some sports that you're solo. When you're out there on the track and field, you're running the race by yourself, but you're part of a team. Whether it was the U.S. Olympic team, your college team, your high school team, you couldn't win the overall tournament by yourself. It was a combination and a collaboration of the people. So it was important for me to help folks see the screen. It's just like putting together a play. You've seen some actors that will stand on stage and do a one-man play. And a lot of times that's impactful. But when they do that one-man play or one-woman play, a lot of times they're playing different characters. So again, it's still not a solo sport. It's a combination, and it's a collaboration of people coming together. In those movies, as much as I love Denzel, as much as I used to love Robin Williams when he would put together his stuff, he couldn't do it by themselves. They needed supporting cast. They needed directors. They needed lights. They needed cameras. They needed food. They needed drinks. They needed makeup. They needed all these things to come together in order for the finished product to be impactful. It's about the people.
I like that. It makes me think about the passage that says, "No man is an island entire to himself. Every man is a piece of the island, a part of the main." And that's what you're saying. And there's so many people who feel like I can get there by myself. But I love the example that you just set with the movie. Right? You may be the leading actor, but without the key grip, the lighting, you would just be out there by yourself, right? You would never make that blockbuster.
That's right.
So let's talk about challenges, because a leader, it's one thing to lead in good times, but it's another thing when there's challenges that happen. It may be a merger, it may be you have employee turnover, it may be a new administration, taking office, and everybody's wondering what's what. Would you mind reading from chapter 3? It's entitled "Kicking Off the Real Talk on Facing Challenges."
Well, certainly. And I'm pick up about midway through the first writing, "The Waves of Adversity."
Okay.
Adversity pushes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to innovate, to think on our feet, and to find resources we didn't know we had. It's during these times one's leadership is tested and true character is formed. More often than not, the lessons learned from traversing these tough times provide the wisdom we need to handle future challenges with greater ease and confidence. The ability to maintain composure, to remain optimistic, and to lead others through uncertainty becomes a testament to our capability and resilience. So next time you find yourself in the midst of what seems like an unrelenting storm, remember this too is an opportunity to enhance your leadership repertoire. Embrace the chaos, learn from it, and let it remind you, even in the tumultuous waves, can lead to new shores and of understanding and strength. Each wave ridden adds a layer of depth to your leadership ability, turning potential adversity into a series of opportunities for personal and professional development.
I love the analogy here where you said, embrace the chaos. And even the most tumultuous waves can lead to new shores of understanding and strength.
Yes.
And I often, when I'm sharing and doing some teaching, I challenge individuals. I said, there are going to be waves, right? They're going to come. Either you're going to be on the sideline wondering what there was a wave, or you're going to be in front of the wave and hopefully being able to ride the crest of the wave. But the last thing is you don't want to be overtaken by the wave.
Correct.
And I think, and I'd like to toss this to you, in this situation, it's so important for a leader to have a line of sight, right? There's chaos, but how do you help create calm among the team in the chaos?
One of the biggest things that goes unstated and underestimated is the power of laughter. When you can honestly say, yeah, I messed that up badly, and laugh at yourself, to become vulnerable in that season and let your team see that vulnerability, that, hey, the boss is not perfect. Therefore, it's not that, yeah, I want you to go out and make a bunch of mistakes, but can we learn from this mistake? We don't want to go back and keep repeating them, but this was a learning and opportunity. Every bit of chaos, every bit of adversity, every bit of the waves and the storm lies a lesson. The question that you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to dig deep and find that lesson and learn from it? If you can do that, then yeah, you have that ability to go ahead and laugh about it. Yes, I messed this up big time. We won't make that mistake again. Okay, we laughed at it. We got it. Yes, it was a low, but even in life, even in the Word of God, we're the hills and the valleys and the mountains. You're going to go up and down throughout life. What lessons are you learning on that journey?
Yes. The one thing that I liked about this book is it's an easy read, not thinking about, our leadership books from college. It weaves in real stories. It challenges the reader to think, but your gift of writing is superior. I love your play on analogies. And I want to just read this, and toss the ball to you. You said, indeed, there are times when a team member might seem out of sync with the rest, perhaps missing the beat when it comes to the group's rhythm. However, once they find their niche, their unique role where they can truly shine, it's like striking the right melodic chord. Now you can just sit back and enjoy the performance. This exemplifies the adage, a team that plays together stays together, highlighting the beauty of unity and synchronicity in team dynamics.
Yes. So the musical part of that goes back to my days being in junior high and high school band. If you've ever had to go listen to your children or your nieces and your nephews at a recital when they had yet to hit that peak and everything sounded good, and you sit there and you're smiling through those chords that just make you cringe, just make your whole body, ooh, that did not sound good at all. Good job, baby. I'm so proud of you. That drive that kept them going. Because eventually, when they practiced enough, when they dedicated themselves enough, next thing you knew, that horrendous sound that you heard is now pure music. The melodies mesh together. When you go see that sixth grade band versus coming back and seeing that high school band and or that college band, you saw the growth, you saw the change, you saw the harmony come together. That's what that was about. Understanding that it's growth. And for me in music, and I speak a lot through music. It drives my wife crazy on occasion because I remember songs back from the 60s and 70s, which meant, yeah, I was 5 years old and I still remember these songs. But the melodies, the words, the things that came together, they drew pictures for me. They gave me insights and they gave me motivation. So regardless of what you said I couldn't do or wouldn't do, I always had something in the back of my mind that said that I could. And at some point in time in my life, maybe about the 5th or 6th grade, I came into my own and said, okay, I'm going to show you that I can. You know, the old adage, I can show you better than I can tell you. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me prove to you what I can do.
I love that. We're going to come right back. I'm going to do a quick takeaway. We are here with Joel D. Smith, his book, The Leadership Advantage. And this book is woven with amazing stories, your stories, stories of others. And we're going to get back in a minute. And I want to have you talk to us about the art of storytelling.
Is stress and burnout quietly destroying the health of your employees? Mental and physical well-being are often overlooked in the workplace, but without proper support, your employees are more likely to suffer from stress, burnout, and even health issues that impact their performance and your company's bottom line. In the military, maintaining mental and physical resilience was critical to our success. We made sure our team was mentally sharp and physically fit to meet the challenges of high-stress environments. The corporate world may not be a battlefield, but it's no less demanding. Your team needs support to stay healthy, focused, and engaged. I can help you implement well-being programs that protect your employees' health and improve their productivity. Let's talk about how we can boost your team's well-being and keep them performing at their best. Contact me today.
You know, we're back here with Joel D. Smith, The Leadership Advantage. You got to get this book. If you're in leadership, want to be in leadership, know someone in leadership, great book. Let's talk about crafting your story. You have a section here in the book that's devoted to that. And we often hear that facts tell, but stories sell. So yes. Would you mind just gracing us with a few moments of reading to us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, your leadership journey is uniquely yours, a story only you can tell. And what a story it is, filled with plots, twists, victories, challenges, and lessons learned. Sharing your story isn't just about recounting your successes. It's about the wisdom gained along the way, the moments of insight, and the experiences that have shaped you. Talking about the times you stumbled isn't just airing out dirty laundry. It's actually pretty powerful. It shows others it's okay to take risks and make mistakes. Basically, it's like saying, hey, I messed up too, but look where I am now. It's about stepping into the light and ditching the cloak of invisibility. Your story has this incredible potential to motivate, to teach, and to connect with others on a real level.
I love that. That it is important that we tell our stories. You don't know whose life may be changed or enhanced by it, right? And when a leader, and I just want your thoughts. And I'm not gonna put my thoughts around this, but I'm gonna tee it up this way for you. We have a leader, and he or she identifies himself as this infallible, all-powerful being, sort of that my way or the highway kind of a leader that many of us have run across. And they tend to not be forgiving when individuals are making mistakes. It seems like they've just walked on this golden road, never had a bump, never had a bruise. It's always been easy breezy for them. Here's a challenge for you. Joel, what would you say right now to that leader if that leader happened to be in your class where you're discussing the leadership advantage?
Remember where you came from. Why do I say that? As I became more senior in the service, and as I became more senior as a pilot in the airlines and all the above, I used to listen to folks as they were juniors, because I brought up a lot of senior leaders, and I've been around a lot of senior leaders back when they were just starting out themselves. And everyone is always willing to say, if I was in charge, because they see what's happening on high and they're trying to say, it's not going to work down here. But then when they made it on high, they were doing the exact same thing. And I would kind of gently nudge them and remind them, you remember back in 1988 in the Republic of Korea, when we set out in the snow trying to understand what the purpose of a certain exercise or drill was. And here we are having the same conversation. Just because it is a good idea here at the enterprise does not necessarily translate to a good idea down in the trenches where the people have to execute it. So before you do the Thelma and Louise off the cliff, have some conversations. That's why the one thing that I can say, and I won't say the military is perfect, but the one thing I can say is that most leaders use their eyes and ears relatively effectively. What do I mean? That sergeant major, that chief warrant officer, those senior leaders that are under their charge have the ear of the boss. And most of them will take into consideration the years of experience that are in the room. But again, when you're at that level, there's a whole lot of things that play into it. You have to play in the politics, you have to play in the funding, you have to play in the people, you have to play in all these different type of dynamics. But what I would say is remember where you came from. And as long as you remember where you came from and the struggles you went through, you can keep yourself in check.
I like that. You talk about the role of a CEO, but it's not chief executive officer. It's chief encouragement officer. And this is what you wrote. As a leader, one of your most impactful roles is that of chief encouragement officer. We could just call it what it is, head cheerleader. The role isn't about empty pep talks. It's deeply rooted in genuine belief in your team's potential, especially in those times when they are filled with self-doubt. And I want to share this with you. I had a meeting today with an individual, and she was talking about some of her work that she did, some of her contributions and accomplishments, but she seemed to really struggle with that. And I was wondering what was causing her to be insecure. And it made me wonder, it brought me back to this passage, whoever is around her in her leadership or mentorship arena has that person lifted her up, given her that sense of encouragement so that she can speak confidently? I'll turn it over to you.
I would have to concur with you in your thought processes and thinking whether that was something that actually was taking place. What I like to think of when I hear such questions is, yes, you're the chief encouragement officer, not just the chief executive, or you're the head cheerleader, just as you wrote, as you read. Now, having said that, you have to walk that fine line initially, because anytime you come into the room as a cheerleader, folks start looking at you, okay, what's really going on? Especially if it's something that they've never experienced or never have been around. So you want to come in encouraging and motivating, but at the same time, you want to tailor it to your people. You have to get in the room and actively listen. And once you've learned your people, then you should know how to motivate them, how to encourage them, how to cheer them on. But to cheer them on, you have to give them that leeway to go out and innovate, to go out and make mistakes, to take risks, but to understand that it is okay to take a risk as long as it stays within line of the company values and the things that are taking place within the organization. The organization is still moving in the correct path. Yes, you can take these risks. Yes, you might make these mistakes, but I'm going to keep cheering you on. Now, if you keep making the same mistake, that's a different thing entirely. But you're okay to make these mistakes. You're okay to do these things, and understand that I am in your corner and I'm going to cheer for you, even when you're struggling. And when you're a good cheerleader, when you're a good head cheerleader, you're a good captain, your teammates know that they can come and sit down and talk to you, that they know that you're going to listen and that you're willing to lift them up and encourage them, even in times of struggle.
I don't know why I have a tickle in my throat, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we are almost out of time, and I want to turn this over to you. I know you wanted to close with a particular reading, and then I'd like you to speak directly to the audience about how they can connect with you, how they can be part of your program, perhaps have you come speak, teach within organizations, and also how they can get a copy of your book.
Okay. In my experience leading teams, I've found that the most turbulent rides often yield the richest gold mines of learning. True leadership isn't always about steering clear of rough weather. Sometimes it requires us to fly right through it. This approach isn't about courting trouble, but about forging a stronger, more cohesive team ready to face whatever challenges come next. The metaphorical bumpy rides we encounter in leadership are invaluable for growth and team building. Rather than dodging these challenges, embracing them can teach us resilience and adaptability. It is not in my job description to avoid the tough stuff. On the contrary, navigating through these difficulties is precisely my role. Each challenging situation tests our resolve and pushes us to innovate and collaborate more effectively, ultimately strengthening our team's dynamics. Being a leader involves much more than setting the course. It requires stewardship of the values and virtues which epitomize exemplary leadership. In the expansive skies of our professional journeys, fully embracing our role as leaders means recognizing every trip, especially the challenging ones, present an opportunity to enhance mutual understanding, foster unity, and continually aim high. Each difficult journey offers a unique chance to deepen our understanding of one another, to align our efforts, and to reinforce our commitment to common goals. It's about more than just surviving the storm. It's about emerging from it with a clearer sense of purpose and a stronger bond. This unity is crucial as it transforms our group of individuals into a formidable team, equipped to tackle future challenges with confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Joel D. Smith, and I'm the CEO of the Wolfpack Leadership Initiative. My book, The Leadership Advantage, How to Cultivate Leadership Skills that Drive Success, can be found on Amazon. I'd love for you to reach out to me at thejoelsmith.com or at j225ventures at j225ventures.com. I am available to come in and teach workshops. I'm available to come in and do keynote speaking. I'm available to come in and discuss the book and how I can help you and your teams grow closer together, being a part of that wolf pack. For as Rudyard Kipling said, the strength of the wolf is the pack. The strength of the pack is the wolf. I would love to continue to grow with you. Leadership today is changing faster than any other time that we've had, and leaderships face complex challenges. Through a shift in your mindset, we'll be able to tackle all those challenges. Challenges are not unique to any of us. They change daily, they change weekly, they change monthly and yearly. Your ability to adapt and overcome those challenges and those changes will set you apart from all other leaders. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Joel, for joining us on Power of the Pen. This has been so rich. And folks, I just literally just touched the tip of the iceberg. This is really a book. I sat down and I read it in a day and a half, but it's really not that type of a book that you read from cover to cover. Then you want to go back, right? And study it and think about it and see how can you apply certain things, whether it's improving your communication. You know, what kind of leader are you? Are you a CEO? Are you encouraging others? Are you seeing yourself as me, myself, and I? How do you navigate challenges? There's just so much. And then just really understanding the wolf pack philosophy. I mean, I was like, wow, this is so cool. So again, thank you so very much, Joel, for joining us. I want to make sure everyone can see we're here talking about The Leadership Advantage by Joel Smith. You can contact him, and you can get his book on Amazon. And here's his contact information below, thejoelsmith.com or j225ventures at j225ventures.com.
Yes.
Again, you can feel free to, if you're interested in being on Power of the Pen, reach out to me. Phone number is there below, or you can email me with Power of the Pen in the heading. A member of our team will reach out and make sure that what you have is a great fit for our audience. We're here to make a difference by bringing innovative conversations through what? The Power of the Pen, and the Leadership Advantage is one of those avenues to shift change, to make a difference, to make an impact, to build legacy in leadership so that we can build future leaders. Right, Joel?
Amen. Yes.
Well, thank you again, and to our listening audience, we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of Power of the Pen. And just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, you have an opportunity to go to Amazon and buy this book. Success is inevitable. Until next time. Bye for now. Thank you.